Jewish supremacists in Florida are openly advancing legislation that bans the use of the term the West Bank and completely erases Palestine from history. This will force government officials and schools to refer to the West Bank as Judea and Samaria. I wonder what it's like to actually have a government that cares about their people instead of spending every waking hour doing everything they can to fight for their favorite genocidal apartheid state. This free speech crackdown in Florida comes as Israel votes to annex the West Bank, and they are supporting violent settlers engaging in terrorist attacks against the Palestinians. The settlers are doing everything they can to make life unlivable for Palestinians in the West Bank, fully supported by the IDF, including setting houses on fire and forming lynch mobs to attack Palestinians. Now Florida is forcing their citizens to accept this act of terrorism as a legitimate form of land expansionism by the genocidal state of Israel. Florida has descended into full-blown fascism as they're sending police officers into the homes of people who are critical of the slaughter of the Palestinian people by the state of Israel. And what they're doing in Florida is blatantly unconstitutional, as the First Amendment grants minors and students the right to receive information, which means the government is not supposed to force public schools to conceal information that is inconvenient to the government, like the existence of the West Bank. But that doesn't matter to the Zionist scum who are willing to trample all over your constitutional rights in order to protect Jewish supremacy. These people are traitors of the highest order. Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has a full-blown meltdown at Davos, attacking Europe for not doing enough to stop Russia, while enthusiastically supporting Donald Trump's illegal war. Bro, Europe cut itself off from cheap Russian gas and cut their social spending in order to support Ukraine. Meanwhile, Zelensky is still ungrateful. Zelensky continued to call out Europe, claiming that they must step up or be left behind.
Europe loves to discuss the future, but avoids taking action today. Action that defines what kind of future we will have. Just last year, here in Davos, I ended my speech with the words, Europe needs to know how to defend itself. A year has passed and nothing has changed. Instead of becoming a truly global power, Europe remains a beautiful but fragmented kaleidoscope of small and middle powers. Instead of taking the lead in defending freedom worldwide, especially when America's focus shifts elsewhere.
It was not interesting with me. Yes, your people is behind you and showing my.
Bro, who the fuck does Zelensky think he is? In what universe does he believe he's in a position to be talking so much shit? Zelensky also spent a large amount of the speech supporting Donald Trump's aggression around the world and claimed that action must be taken in Iran.
Ayatollah has already killed thousands. And what will Iran become after this bloodshed? If the regime survives, it sends a clear signal to every bully. Kill enough people and you stay in power.
Zelensky accuses Iran of slaughtering their own people, which is rich, considering the special military operation in Ukraine by Russia started because Ukraine was slaughtering ethnic Russians in the Donbass. Everything that the West falsely accuses Iran of doing is exactly what Zelensky and the Ukrainian regime already has done. Not only did Zelensky slaughter civilians in the Donbass region, he banned opposition parties, opposition media, the right to collectively bargain, and he canceled all future elections. Zelensky is the tyrant that the United States claim their enemies are.
What's poppin', my friends, my family? Welcome back to Nick at Primetime. You guys know I'm always in the lab cooking. I've been focusing a lot on these hotspots. That's why I wasn't live for the last few days. But I'm back. Welcome to Nick at Primetime. What we're witnessing is the Imperial Boomerang in action. Like this is the textbook example of the Imperial Boomerang, what we're witnessing now, with the American people being outraged over the ICE raids and national troops executing Americans in the street. Like I was trying to warn liberals about this for a while. I've been covering ICE for years. Like those used to be my worst performing videos when I used to run. I used to do segments covering how ICE under Joe Biden was so barbaric that there was people in ICE detention that was going on hunger strikes because they wasn't getting proper medical care. They was being sexually harassed and abused. ICE always was a rogue agency, an example of Israeli tactics coming back home. We know this. We know that the IDF, they train with ICE and they bring those tactics back home, accuse the victim of being terrorists, blocking ambulances, blocking doctors, lying about the case. Like, what do you guys think was going to happen? Like, when you see the United States lying blatantly about a hospital that they blew up in Gaza, you guys think they wouldn't lie about murdering Americans either? Why do you guys think I focus so much on foreign policy? We're going to get right to foreign policy. Because Americans think that foreign policy is some shit we're doing overseas. Nah, fam, they testing out every single thing that they plan on trying against their proletariat overseas, where they think Americans are not watching. Now they're bringing it right back home, and this is exactly what my focus have been. And I gotta say once again, the Marxists are proven right. Once again, the burden of proof, the burden of being right that Marxists carry, it truly extremely heavy, because we told you guys that we're the only principled people in the United States that support gun rights for the working class and the proletariat on principle. I appreciate Patrick for the super chat. What's poppin', my friend? We got a lot of people, a lot of homies in chat. Big shout out to Chicago. Girl, I want to give more shout outs too. But we're the only people who support gun rights on principles, because have you seen what the fascists have been saying, what the people on the right been saying, what the MAGA supporters been saying? They've been making the argument that ICE has the right to execute American citizens simply because they have a gun on them. Fam, if the federal government has the legal right to murder you because their little piggy got afraid after seeing your gun, you don't have a Second Amendment. This is what me and Zoya was popping. My friend, Zoya's love, Zoya's life. Yeah. Oh yeah, I gotta be careful here. If your Second Amendment is void because a federal officer feels intimidated or spooked by your weapon, what exactly Second Amendment do you think is valid in this country? Conservatives say we need a Second Amendment to stand up to government tyranny. Okay, if a government can label you a terrorist at any time and you support the premise of what a terrorist actually is, what does your Second Amendment actually mean? Because they'll make the argument that, well, if you're a terrorist, of course you don't have Second Amendment rights. If you're a criminal, of course you don't have Second Amendment rights. Okay, so all the government had to do is just accuse you. If the government just accuse you of being terrorist, of being a domestic terrorist, then all your rights go down the drain. Fam, you don't have any rights in the first place. Which is why the tankies and the Marxists have been proven right once again. Every single thing that they told you about authoritarian China, authoritarian Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, the DPRK. Don't you know they don't got rights in DPRK? Show me footages of people being murdered in the streets by the DPRK military, by the national service. Give us an example of the 3 to 4. You guys know that around 3 to 4 people die every single day because of police officers. What isn't that the height of so-called authoritarianism? We have such a low trust, low cohesive society where there's nonstop clashes between federal agents, law enforcement, and the proletariat because they're off sync, because the law enforcement view the people as the enemy. It's us versus them. You can tell with all these ICE videos, they view it as us versus them. Fuck them. Like, he shot Renee Good. He like, fucking bitch. Fucking murderous psychopath. Imagine snuffing out a life. Like, I'm a martial artist. I tell you guys this all the time. I'm a martial artist. I feel bad when I hurt people. like whenever I was spar in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Like, it's very important to tap. Like, I know a lot of people like, man, you tap like a bitch. You can't tap out, man. I would never tap, bro. Fam, tapping out is a sign of sportsmanship. Like, there's nothing that is more disrespectful in martial arts than not tapping out to your opponent. Because I don't want to be the guy who breaks your fucking arm, bro. Like, if I have you in a Kimura lock, like, I like, it happens when you train. You accidentally hurt people. I'm one of the people who accidentally hurt people. I feel bad, like, in combat sports. Imagine being the kind of asshole that would just snuff someone's life out, snuff a mom out, a mother out, and then after you kill me, like, you fucking bitch. Animals, deranged animals, and I'm sorry if it makes me an authoritarian, if it makes me an authoritarian communist, if I believe people like that should be snuffed out. People like that need to be completely suppressed by the state. Those kind of murderous tendencies. These lawless thugs, call it whatever you want. I think these people need to feel the weight of the People's Army, the proletariat. And these psychopaths shouldn't even be tolerated in society, let alone given all the perks of the capitalist class that comes from being the security guards. That's why, like, if you look at the NYPD, they make $250,000 a year. That's why police officers are not the working class. That's why people in the military are not the working class, because they make way more than the average worker in the United States. That the median income in the United States is around $35,000 a year. The average American rate makes around $35,000 or less a year. But if you are the paid gun of the ruling class, if you're willing to be such a bloodthirsty sellout that you're willing to murder your own countrymen, then yeah, you're going to get great perks. You guys heard the signing bonuses? They're giving these ICE agents thousands of dollars in signing bonuses. They're making six figures. Like, in the Democratic Party, hell, they cleared the bank for these people. They made great perks as a fascist soldier of the capitalist regime. But that's how it always works. That's how they always win over. Yeah, 50K, Jesus Christ. 50K. Let me see what the chat is saying. They're disguising as Uber drivers. Jesus Christ. Yeah, they're dressing as civilians. They're using tactics that will count as war crimes if used in other countries. You're not allowed to dress as civilians. They wearing masks. Like, everything that we've been telling you guys about America been proven brutally true. And I wish I can, like, brag more about it, but it's sad to see. Like, we don't want to be right, but we told people that what you accuse China of being, what you accuse Iran of being, is what the United States is. That's the core critique that Marxists and what we have versus what a liberal don't understand. You guys realize, and this will break the shit-lit mind, you guys realize that ICE murdered more Americans over the last few weeks than Russia, than Venezuela, than the DPRK, than China? Who are the Americans that these American adversaries murdered? You hear these people in corporate media all the time, like, man, don't you know that China's our enemy? Like, all these dipshits I listen to for some reason, they're like, don't you know that China's enemy, man? Don't you know that Russia our adversary? Hey, Nick, you can't praise Putin. Don't you know Russia's our enemy? Fam, Russia murdered no Americans this week. You know who's murdering Americans? Our ruling class. You want to know who murder Americans every single day? Our police officers. Police officers murder Americans every single day. You want to know else who murder Americans? Health insurance CEOs. There's around 68,000, 70,000 Americans who die every single year because they are denied health care. Brian Thompson had blood on his hands, and he got fucking dealt with. He deserved it. Brian Thompson and all these healthcare CEOs are mass murderers. And I guess that's the difference between me and I guess the difference between anyone who have a material analysis of the world. Like, I was obviously sad at Renee Good in the most recent shooting as well. But they are just drops. I don't want to sound insensitive when I say that. But they were just a drop of the ocean of the Imperial casualties that the United States are responsible for. So to me, the Renee Good shooting is tragic, and I'm glad that many people was moved by it. That the recent shooting, I'm blank on the guy's name. I'm glad that people are moved by it. But I've been covering this stuff for years. I covered all the American, like the American Palestinian journalist, for example, Shireen Abdul-Akleh. I did multiple segments on her when no one else did. She's a Palestinian American journalist. Before October 7th, she was shot in the head by the IDF. Like, people was horrified when they saw Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck. I think that was some different other kind of technology, but hey, who knows? Because the reason why people was moved by Charlie Kirk is because, yeah, they definitely gonna pull the stream. I'm too spicy for YouTube right now, man. I already know they're gonna pull the stream. But the reason why the Charlie Kirk murder hit a lot of people because everyone saw the video of him getting popped in the neck and the blood coming out. Can you imagine seeing the video of the IDF murdering, shooting Shireen Abdul-Akleh, a prominent Palestinian American journalist? Can you imagine the scenes of the IDF snipers who shoot children, pinpoint in the head? They have shots in the neck as well. So I don't want to I really hope I don't sound insensitive when I say this. But the shock that we see from the Renee Good video. I'm sorry, I don't want to disrespect the guy. I'm blank on the guy who was just shot. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I got all these facts and receipts, but I always blank on names. The nurse, the male nurse, the hero. He's a hero. But these murders that we're seeing live on TV, this is standard Imperial Western violence that we are starting to see. Alex Preddy. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm asking for the name because I'm trying to put respect on his name. I'm not like, these stories are very depressing. But Alex Preddy, Renee Good, we are only going to see the capitalist class become even more violent and even more desperate. You guys realize that, right? As the temperature continues to rise, the second that their power is truly tested, you're seeing the gangsterism of the ruling class. How quickly they are willing to create a secret police. And this power was given under the Barack Obama administration. Barack Obama gave the government power to detain American citizens without due process and due trials. They're cracking down because they're sitting there. So they're absolutely cracking down. And I think one of the reasons why they're pushing for ICE agents to engage in executions of Americans, and they are pushing more police violence on American citizens. They're trying to get people to accept the new normal, that the ruling class will solve all their problems with violence. As they decry violence from the working class, that we will never accept violence. This is not America, and this is not what we accept. You got to realize that violence is always their first answer. And they already got a lot of people in the checkmate because a lot of people believe that the only action that they can take is to stand out in the street and protest. Hey, fam, protesting is good action. It's a good starting point. But we beyond the point of just protesting. Like all these protests, they're just gonna fuck you up, man. At what point? And I want to brainstorm this with other people. I'm not saying that I have the answers, but at what point do we move beyond just protesting, especially when the ruling class adapted to that? Because they're like, all right, if you're gonna protest, we're gonna fucking gas you. We're gonna fucking gas you. We're gonna break your bones. We're gonna shoot these things that we call rubber bullets. We call it rubber bullets, even though they're still encased shells that cause permanent injury, including blindness, when often used. But we're gonna call them rubber bullets just to fuck with you. So we want you guys to stand over there in the park for 2 hours and slant you and chant a few slogans. But don't step outside of the boundaries or we're going to fuck you up. I'm not saying I know the answer, guys, but at a certain point, the left guy be like, hey, man, these fucking kumbaya protests are not working. At what point do we start organizing real power, start building parties, start building militias? Instead of having a protest, we need to start having events where we teach people how to arm themselves, defend themselves, grow their own food. I think there's more tactics that we can explore. And that's the kind of left that I want to invest in. I'm not saying I have the answers. I want to talk to people who do have an answer. And my friend Casey is, strikes. We organize general strike summits. We want to organize another one this year. I would love to organize another general strike summit. We talked about it among the team. I think we absolutely do need an army. I think we need a proletariat army. I'm not sure this guy disagrees with me. I'm trying to read more of the comments. It's hard. Just we don't need an army. I think we do. I'm trying to see what else this person said. I think we do need an army. I think this guy's advocating for a tax strike. I'm legitimately. This is the kind of conversation that we should be having. Like, what should we be doing other than these fucking protests? People are like, let's do another protest. Like, okay, let's raise awareness. People are like, you understand that the American people want to abolish ICE. At what point do we move beyond the raising awareness stage? American leftists love saying shit like, we got shit to Overton window. We got to raise awareness. If I hear motherfuckers keep talking about the Overton window, I'm going to slap you. Okay? The American people been against ICE. When you ask Americans in polling, and this was the biggest lie told to the American population during the George Floyd protests and during our pressure. Remember Zoya? We started 10 demands, putting pressure on the police state. When the American people was asked, do you support social spending going to help impoverished families, to help decrease crime versus more increased police funding, the American people supported that. Yeah, the American people were scared by slogans and shit, but the American people supported the idea of spending more on social spending, decreasing the kind of money the feds have. Like Zoya, me and Zoya, we've been ready for this moment for years, bro. That's why, like, there's not no special coverage on RBN, no special coverage from me. Me and Zoya, we've been fighting the police state for what, 7 years now? When did we meet Zoya? 2019? Been like fucking 7 years since we've been in this fight. I had 10 demands, and everyone on the left, like, you can't support abolishing ICE. Me and Zoya, we was there. We was there putting pressure on elected officials to support 10 demands. That's how we got started as activists. Well, how I got started. Zoya been in the game for decades. You know what I mean? So everyone like, no, we need to fight for Medicare for all. No, we need to do something about rabid violence, state violence and fascism, and supporting an imperialist genocidal party for social welfare benefits. If you're still making the argument that we should do that, you don't even understand the situation that we're in. Like you still analyzing politics as if it's 2008. Like you like pre-Obama lib. Still, we just gotta work with the Democratic Party. Let's shift the Democratic Party to the left. The Democratic Party support fascism. They support murdering children, butchering journalists, burning hospitals, torturing doctors in Gaza, and you think they're your shortcut to fighting fascism? You think fascism is going to be defeated at the ballot box? Those are the conversations that the real dumb left is having. So I think that was a good intro monologue, right? 20 minutes. 20 minutes in before I got to my first topic. But I want to see what else you guys are saying. I wish I could follow this. Let's unite with DSA. Not happening. The problem with DSA, they don't want to unite with any person in the working class unless they want to work with the Democratic Party. They're the kind of people who believe they believe that there's a large portion of the working class who are deplorable and unreachable. You hear them all the time. They whenever I would reach out to conservatives, like whenever I'll go on like Jake Shield's show just to reach out to his audience, and DSA people, they have this belief that that's a complete waste of time, that there's portions of the working class that irredeemable. And the reason why they believe that is because they believe that anyone who's not organized within the Democratic Party is a bad guy. Like that, you have people who are to their left, people who are socialists, people like Shama Sawan, for example, who they don't support. The DSA don't support Shama Sawan over Adam Smith, for example, because she's not a Democrat. And that's where a lot of people draw the line at. They will never openly admit that, but that's where they draw their line. All right, let me read some more. DSA is a joke. We know that, though. You have a better chance. You have better luck changing the mind of a conservative than a liberal. Nobody's more hostile than us than liberals. I absolutely agree with that. Like, I agree with that because liberals don't even want to have conversations with us. Like conservatives will try to pick my brain every once in a while. At least on like X. They're the ones who invite me on the shows. Like, you will never see like a big name liberal like, oh, I want to talk to RBN. Let me talk to a black radical. They like, fuck that. They're the biggest gatekeepers. We got a lot of great chats in here. Zoya's love, Zoya's life. My partner in this. In order to strike long-term effectively, we need community infrastructure. That's what we need to do. We need to do another, I guess, general strike summit. But we kind of a mutual aid summit as well. But I think we just should call it just general strike summit. But with mutual aid workshops, we need to do another panel on how to grow your own food again. We did one a few years ago, but why not do another one? Especially in this moment, fam. We definitely need to do this again. Link with your neighbors growing your food. Yep, I have told you, comrades, every show this was coming. Yep. Zoya being, that's why I love Zoya. That's why we all love Zoya. Zoya being in the chat like, organize! Fucking organize! Organize! Do something! I love Zoya. Violence is here. Either we leverage our labor to shut down the system, or this fight will explode in the streets. They've been building super prisons, preparing for the backlash to their austerity push. This is what we need, not gatekeepers, but we need working class intellectuals to really brainstorm, form coalitions, and figure out like the tasks that we need to accomplish in order to get out of this hole. I believe that we need to start forming militias. I think we need to start forming our own outside government. Like, we have our own mutual aid societies. We grow our own food. Like, I'll be like the self-defense guy. I can teach people Muay Thai boxing. The hand-to-hand coach, grappling. Like, I'm the guy who I'll train comrades for free. We will have some gun people. We have some people who know how to cook, know how to throw down. Like, build our own society, build our own government, and then we have representatives from that. We have mutual aid events. We have representatives. We put the representatives on the ballot, and you grow outside power without needing the approval of the state. You understand that that's one of the biggest mistakes that the left have made, is they relied on infiltrating state institutions and relied on the professional managerial class left in order to be the vanguard and spearheads of social change. But what we need is complete separation of the capitalist system by the working class. We are building our means of production. We are building our labor force. We're still building up our resources. We're accepting resources from class traders. We'll like you gotta find what you're good at. And remember, during my speeches, Zoya, every single speech I always talk about this every single time. What can you do for the movement? What is your skills? Like once again, I'm in this weird position where I'm an educator. I give speeches, but I'm also good at combat. I'm also a good combat coach. So I train multiple comrades for free. That's my form of mutual aid. If you can cook pies, you're gonna be cooking pies for the movement. If you can sew, let's say you're great at sewing, you're a craftsman, then you create craft for the movement. You create clothes for the movement. Like these are the kind of things that we need to understand from Marxism that is different from liberalism. We don't believe that we're powerless. That's why we believe in worker power and our ability to. We believe that we should all learn skills. Like we all need to have useful labor. Like obviously, I'm not gonna shit on like the baristas or whatever, but we need to, and we all need to learn useful labor, study useful labor for the movement, pick our role, and put the responsibility on our own shoulders to work for change and to build a true threatening left, not a compatible left, not the Dr. Cornel West, you are welcome on CNN left. We need people to form their own outside coalitions, outside of two-party structure. We have our own independent media. That's what we're already building here. We have our own independent media. We got our own propaganda we're running. We're interviewing people in our own community. The capitalist class is looking from the outside in, terrified. Like our brother Rome said, everyone has a place in the revolution. The challenging part is finding where you fit in there. But once you do find the vision that you have and how you can help and how you can have effective change, even if it being just a class trader that supports the movement economically, that's very useful, right? But anyway, I guess we can get into some stories now. I'm gonna get back to Zelensky because I guess that's where I ran on like ICE and IDF. We'll get to the ICE and IDF more. We'll cover how Democrats they rallied the troops to get enough votes to support ICE spending. They always support ICE spending. ICE spending hit record levels under Joe Biden. Donald Trump beat that, but the Democratic Party exists to create a ratchet effect. And that's what they do. We can't get twisted. But I will get back to foreign affairs because you guys know that's what I think is most important. I'm gonna get back to Zelensky. I did a super. I was about to say super chat. I did a hotspot on Zelensky going in his speech at Davos. Like, bro, there was so much drama at Davos. There was so much shit that was popping at Davos. You guys, if you're a political nerd, you follow all these ruling class criminals. There was just a gold mine of quotes, of messaging. Like, there was actually a lot to be had and analyzed here. Like, if you follow world politics. So I was just scratching the surface. I was covering a little bit of the Europeans melting down at Davos and how they completely lost all their global standing, all their influence, all their clout, the meltdown that we're having on the global stage, how China is a big winner. Now I'm going to cover Zelensky for a bit because Zelensky is fucking – he went to Davos and had like a full-fledged meltdown. He was calling out European leaders, talking shit to the Europeans. The people who was like the biggest Zelensky bootlickers, the biggest supporters of Zelensky have been the Europeans. But he goes to Davos, shits on the Europeans, says the Europeans are lost. And trust me, I greatly enjoyed that. But it's like, bro, Zelensky, you are in no position to be doing this. I'm going to show you guys this first. Like here's the New York Times. You guys see Zelensky, this cokehead, he lost his damn mind. Like this is your message at Davos in this moment where we are seeing a massive collapse of support for the Ukraine war in the West, as you are facing Ukraine population collapse, as your government is under investigation for massive corruption, fraud. Zelensky is like, I'm gonna go to Davos and I'm gonna bring big Donald Trump energy and start attacking Europe, attacking our allies, and enthusiastically supporting the regime change war in Iran and all the illegal foreign policy wars of Donald Trump. So here's the headline, and I'm going to show you guys the video of him attacking Viktor Orban. Zelensky laces into Europe, saying it must step up or be left behind. The Ukrainian leader's speech in Davos, Switzerland, was one of the most scathing critiques of his closest allies. The audacity of this motherfucker. The only people that have been having his back from the beginning, he's attacking. And I don't know what he plans to do. Like he's like, I'm gonna go to Davos, have this complete meltdown, and then people are gonna support me more. I'm gonna support regime change war in Iran, and that will rally Europe to my side. Like what is this performance? Here is his pathetic call out of Viktor Orban.
We all see that the forces trying to destroy Europe do not waste a single day. They operate freely, even operate inside Europe. Every victor who lives off European money while trying to sell out European interests deserves a smack upside the head.
Bro got no pop. This boy got no motion. He really thought they were gonna pop for that. He practiced that line forever.
Trying to sell out European interests deserves a smack upside the head.
No pop, bum. Fucking bum. He looked up like they was about to start clapping. This is a good point. I don't know who this is. We follow each other. Does Zelensky know that Hungary provides more electricity to Ukraine than any other nation? That if it was not for Orban, Ukrainians would be in an even more desperate situation with energy and heating than they are right now? This is the great point about this guy. Like, this is an underrated tweet. Because Viktor Orban is not even 100% anti-NATO and anti-Ukraine. Viktor Orban would just say stuff like, hey guys, I don't think we should illegally pirate Russian assets and steal them. I don't think we should publicly declare that Ukraine should join NATO. I think it would be smart for Europe to maintain a close relationship with Russia, but he still supports like Ukraine as a state. This is perfect. Viktor Orban is just a realist. He's someone on the global stage and looking at the whole situation like, hey man, you motherfuckers in Europe are you guys are crazy. And Viktor Orban, he's not a good guy. He's willing to play ball. He's a Zionist. He's a Netanyahu friend. Like he's just someone on the global stage and like, hey man, I think NATO is making a giant mistake. I'm not gonna support you guys destabilizing the global trade order by seizing Russian assets, but we will continue to support Ukraine. He said he don't want to deindustrialize his entire country in this ridiculous Putin derangement syndrome appealing wave in Europe, where every one of these leaders are sacrificing their own people in order to fight Russia. They claim their pensions, their social programs. And by the way, that's why Zelensky is mad at Viktor Orban, by the way. This is why, if you listen to liberals, if you listen to Rachel Maddow and Bernie Sanders, the only foreign fucking leader they have any criticism of is you hear Bernie Sanders like Viktor Orban. Donald Trump, he's a tyrant just like Viktor Orban. Rachel Maddow, like, man, Donald Trump, he's really Viktor Orban. Like, liberals hate Viktor Orban because he's just not an unapologetic puppet to NATO. That's it. Because he won't declare 100% support. Yeah, they call Orban a dictator. They say this all the time. Bernie Sanders like, yeah, Viktor Orban, he's a dictator. Donald Trump is a dictator like Viktor Orban. Motherfucker, the UK arrests more people based on what they post online than Viktor Orban does. Anyone in the world, by the way. Australia, their public officials openly brag about the fact their country doesn't have any free speech. That you can't support Hamas, you can't support international law, you can't criticize U.S. foreign policy, or you get arrested. They will label you a terrorist in Australia. Australia is a fascist state. I'm gonna see if I can find this clip. There's a clip of this got this high-ranking asshole in Australia. He was like, "Yeah, we don't have freedom of speech here." He's like, "No, this thing you guys have in America, I definitely need to find it now." He's like, "This thing you guys have in America where students are chanting for Hamas, we don't do that shit, nigga. We will lock them up." I need to find this clip now. I don't know what we're gonna do with this show. We definitely will do it though. Oh man, I want to see if I can find it. It's a classic clip. I don't think I can. I need to save it. I need to find it. This guy like, man, we will never have these pro-Hamas. I'm gonna find it in that video. I should have thought about it before. The point is that Bernie Sanders and Rachel Maddow and the Western Lib, they have criticisms of like 3 people. Like they only criticize Xi Jinping, Viktor Orban, and Nicolas Maduro. You will never hear them criticize Keir Starmer for selling out his people to the Israeli project, turn his country to a fascist state in order to hide the complicity of the UK in genocide. You would never hear them criticize the BlackRock Prime Minister, Friedrich Merz in Germany, for cutting social programs, cutting pensions in order to fund NATO and fund Israel even more and giving them weapons, because we all know Germany is number 2 of armed exports to the state of Israel. You will never see Bernie Sanders and Rachel Maddow and the Western liberal attack these people because they're a Western chauvinist. You will see them attack Viktor Orban because Viktor Orban refused to completely lick the boot. It pisses me off because there's so many examples of Viktor Orban going along with Europe and NATO, but he's just one thing. Like, I won't let you guys seize Russian assets. He was like the leader that like, I don't think we should send tanks. I don't think we should send F-1 bombers. And just for saying that, now he's like enemy number 1. And they definitely try to take this guy out. He's a weird looking guy, isn't he? I am too. So whatever. Viktor Orban accuses Ukraine of election interference. I wouldn't be surprised if Ukraine didn't try to kill this motherfucker by now. This is the headline on this. Zelensky fires shots at Orban, Trump, and Davos speech. Yeah, I think it's accurate to say Orban is more conservative. 100%. Many of these Eastern Europeans, a lot of these European, I think Europe is a conservative, anti-communist continent in general. But people who think Viktor Orban and like there are people who think Viktor Orban is more to the right than Keir Starmer. You know what I mean? That's not true. Like Viktor Orban is not to the right of Friedrich Merz. He is not politically aligned with me, but the idea that he is like super far right compared to who? Compared to me, all of you guys are far right. Like all of you motherfuckers are Nazis compared to me. Like in the same with the AFD in Germany. I see people who support genocide, people who support cop cities, people who support ICE. They're like, don't you know the AFD is a fascist party? Yeah, I guess, but compared to who? You're a fascist too. That's my taking perspective. Like to me, Viktor Orban is like a centrist. Like he's a moderate statesman who is hungry first. He probably suppresses his working class because he's not a communist or Marxist. But once again, that's very centrist for a leader in the world stage. But people pretend who Viktor Orban is like, oh, don't you know he's uniquely authoritarian? And here's the position of the entire social democrat left. Like, nigga, he is no more authoritarian than Emmanuel Macron. Remember when the left in France won their election, and then Emmanuel Macron in the banksters, they was like, hey, yo, by the way, we're not going to count that election. Like, Emmanuel Macron literally stole a whole ass election from the left. And you guys want me to believe that Viktor Orban is uniquely right wing? Yep, he's socially conservative. Absolutely. I think he's more like, once again, that's why I think he's more of a centrist, ordinary, standard leader on the world stage. Because social conservatism is standard on the world stage among the global majority for the most part. It depends on what your definition of social conservative is, to be honest. But that's a global majority for you guys. Lula is really socially conservative compared to democratic socialists, for example. Viktor Orban. I found the chat, but our chat moving pretty fast. Victor's biggest crime is defying the European liberal diktat. Yep. Macron is worse than Orban. People raided BlackRock in Paris after he tried. I hope you guys know, I'm not apologizing for Orban. Like I have no reason to like praise Orban like that for real. But I don't believe that he's any different than any of these European leaders. That's why I don't understand the left derangement. I know many people in Europe hate him because he wanted to find an end to the conflict in NATO. I think this is an interesting segment. This is why I said he's more centrist. I'm not an Orban fan. That's what I mentioned earlier. He's a Netanyahu guy. I think you make a good argument here, but he's not any different from any European in terms of when people pretend like he's a dictator. That's what I'm talking about. A dictator, authoritarian. Like, people need to decolonize their mind of what authoritarian means. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I guess this segment is. Here's another great comment by Zoe before I get to this. Hungary boasts one of the highest home ownership rates in the world, with approximately 91 to 92% of the population living in owner-occupied homes, and they have universal health care. What's that? So how can I judge? I mean, we got millions homeless here, and our politicians are also Zionists. Viktor Orban, once again, I think just being hungry first, being someone who wants to. He's a guy who don't want to rock the boat. So you're not going to be a rabid anti-Zionist in an era where Europe is completely ran by Jewish supremacists. Not an excuse for him. I think criticizing him for Netanyahu ties is legitimate, but I think he's someone who is pro-hungry first, and he's not 100% controllable. I think that's why they hate him. Now, this is why I speak out against the Ukraine war. This is one of the most. I gotta be very careful with how I present this story, because imagine being the kind of dipshit that would throw your life away gotta be very careful here. You gotta see the headline here. Nearly 100 U.S. soldiers have died fighting for Ukraine. Bro. What is wrong with you people? Yep, it's all right. It's gonna be one of those segments, Zoya. We about to get in trouble. Can you imagine sacrificing your life for NATO, for the Banderite Nazi regime who couldn't give a damn about you? Can you imagine being this brainwashed? And can you imagine being the parent that failed to the point where you didn't do everything in your power to convince your child, your son, this is your legacy, your family, your child. You don't do everything in your power to talk them out of fighting the war for Ukraine. I said it before. I'm sorry. It's gonna be one of those segments, guys. I said it 1,000 times on the channel. If you're a parent and you allow your child to die in a foreign war for Zionist oligarchs, you are at least top 1% of bad parents. Like you have to be one of the worst parents of all time who don't give a fuck about anything. Hey, mama, I want to go fight war for NATO. Hey, have a good time, honey. What kind of fucking negligent shit is this? So they do this segment where they talk about U.S. soldiers fighting for Ukraine. And I'm sorry, but someone has to do a segment like this because I'm tired of people signing up to fight for the war machine and then people turn around and feel guilty for them. Like, bro, you know exactly what you signed up for. We need to make a culture that we're signing up to be a hired gun for the Jeffrey Epstein Zionist-controlled elite is socially unacceptable. So let's listen to these parents who had their children die for NATO.
Involvement in Ukraine is not just political. Since Russia's invasion, nearly 100 American volunteers have died fighting for Ukraine. Now their bereaved families want to make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain.
Yeah, I do want to go to Ukraine. I want to go right where the spot where Andrew and Lance went down.
Carla Weber's family lives 10,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. For them, the war was distant until 2023 when her son Andrew joined the Ukrainian armed forces.
If you knew Andrew, I mean, it's just that's the kind of stuff he did. It wasn't surprising or weird to us. I mean, why did we?
Bro, look at this asshole. Yeah, my son, he just do some weird shit. He fights foreign wars on behalf of Nazis. What kind of dipshit are you? Like, at no point are you like, hey, man, I don't think you should fight against a nuclear powerhouse in Russia. How is this not the worst parent of all fucking time? Like, it's your responsibility as a parent to convince your child not to die for the criminal elite who couldn't give a damn about him. Look at this guy. Maybe he's a Nazi. Maybe he knew exactly what he was doing. And he's willing to fight for blood and soil. I don't fucking know. But you gotta see how nonchalant she is about sacrificing her son. For what? Can you even explain why your son lost his life? Oh yeah, this is kind of how he is. He like to fight some wars. He's kind of eccentric. You know what I mean? I'm very supportive of that. If he want to go fight and die, I'm gonna let him fight and die. The fuck is this? Anyway, let's continue. This is not a long segment.
For them, the war was distant until 2023 when her son Andrew joined the Ukrainian armed forces.
If you knew Andrew, I mean, it's just that's the kind of stuff he did. It wasn't surprising or weird to us. I mean, why did we not stop him from going to Afghanistan or Iraq? I mean, he saw it the same way, right?
Andrew dreamed of being a soldier from a young age, graduated.
So you're a failure. You're a complete failure of a parent. And are we supposed to feel bad for these people? Am I being an asshole here? Your son going out to Afghanistan, Iraq, and at no point in your mind did it ever cross your mind that he might die fighting these wars, that you never questioned why he's fighting these conflicts And if you're uncomfortable with this segment I'm doing, we need to change our culture. Because to me, like this, like my friend Chicago Girl says, this person is a psychopath. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this person is a psychopath. You willing to sacrifice your child? That's how much you believe in the United States empire? What is this? This is. I'm glad you guys agree with me on this. I didn't know how you guys was take the segment, but this is to me a death cult. This is horrific. This is and this is the mindset. The reason why I'm covering this is how the parents of many veterans are. This is how many military families are. They take pride. They pressure their kids to go fight and die for wars of the ruling class. It's a sick, deranged culture that not only don't receive enough criticism, it's actually lauded. Like the military family culture is something treated with respect. I thank you for your service. And we got a military family here. I hate these kind of parents too. I'm glad you guys on the same, at least the live audience. I'm glad you guys are on the same wavelength as I am, because this is completely different from my culture. Where I could, like, the idea for me fighting for the military, my mom was like, "Fuck that." There was no chance that I was ever going to be cannon fodder for the United States regime. My mom was apolitical. I told you guys, my mom is famously apolitical. She just support what I support because she's a good parent, but she don't know shit about politics. But despite her not knowing shit about anything in politics, she was smart enough to know, hey man, your ass is not gonna fight overseas. There's no fucking way that you're gonna do that. So to me, this person on screen right here is personally responsible for the death of their child. And I know that's hard to say, but we need to change the culture and stop letting it be okay for you to send your child off to die in war. And you guys see how happy she is to go on corporate media to talk about her dead fucking child? Like this is something that she's going to use for clout for the rest of her life. What a fucking psychopath.
If you knew Andrew, I mean, it's just, that's the kind of stuff he did. It wasn't surprising or weird to us. I mean, why did we not stop him from going to Afghanistan or Iraq? I mean, he saw it the same way, right?
Andrew dreamed of being a soldier from a young age, graduated from West Point Military Academy, served in Iraq and Afghanistan, was awarded the Bronze Star and Purple Heart. After the military, he became a lawyer.
You know, I'm sorry. Hopefully we don't get banned for this. But you know, in his time in Afghanistan and Iraq, this motherfucker definitely did something to deserve this. That's all I'm gonna say.
And helped refugees escape Afghanistan after the U.S. Army withdrawal. Then, Russia invaded Ukraine. He walked away from everything and went to the front line.
I showed it to his dad and I said, you need to call him somehow because he's going to jump into this. He's not going to, I can tell you right now, he's not going to just stay at a training camp. He's headed out with whoever these kids are. And that's exactly what he did. Went right to the front and became, of course, squad leader in 10 seconds.
His squad carried out multiple successful operations in eastern Ukraine. And even then, he always found a way to stay in touch with his mother.
We had a thing where we played Wordle every day, but even if he couldn't play, he checked in. So I'd see a check mark and I knew he was okay, right?
On July 29th, 2020.
What a sicko. What a psychopath. Look at your baby boy. You sacrifice your baby boy. This is unbelievable. Just the lack of care for life. Oh yeah, he's just gonna fight a war. That's what y'all come on. Hey dad, you gotta give him a call. Just make sure you don't do anything too crazy. And you guys see how she's just bragging about his war crimes. Here, my friend Zoya, I've had friends who served. If you don't denounce U.S. war crimes, imperialism, after a long look behind the curtain, you deserve what you get. This motherfucker not only served Iraq, He then went in Afghanistan, and then he decided to serve NATO after everything we did in Iraq and Afghanistan. He decided to join band-right Nazis who was executing ethnic Russians in the Donbass. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. I gotta be careful what I say. I think you guys get what I'm throwing down here, but come on. I'm tired. Me and Zoya, we've been on this kick. We're tired of people's feelings. I'm not one of these fucking politically correct Marxists, man. Like we gotta tell the truth, and we gotta explain reality as it is. We gotta tell a hard truth to these people. We gotta highlight the failure of these parents because no parent should be sending their child off to fight and die in the war. And I know you can't control everything your child does, but you need to damn near ruin your relationship. Like, if you don't, you gotta threaten to disown them. And when you make that threat, you don't actually do it. You know what I mean? You gotta be like, if you fight this war, I will officially disown you. You that's a nuke you gotta pull out, but you gotta pull the nuke out, man. It's a big bluff, but you gotta say it, man. If you're not willing to go to those lengths to stop your family member from fighting and dying, and these wars that are coming up, because Iran is coming up. I got a segment. I'm gonna show you guys this Fox News segment where they're super excited about the military buildup in Iran. So we have the Iran war coming up. We have Taiwan coming up. We have China reunifying with Taiwan and the Western reaction to that. Sam, if you guys think the status of the global order and wars are crazy right now, fam, you have no idea, boy. You have no idea what's coming. Like we still in the warm up to World War III. If you follow geopolitics, you see the battle lines being placed right now. So why do you guys think I'm advancing this message that we need to make it a social stigma to serve the war machine? If we can't politically defeat the neocons, which the left failed to do for decades, we need to disarm them using our people power. We need to defund the institutions socially. The same way we want to make being a cop a social stigma. All cops are bastards. All cops who serve this capitalist system are bastards. And we can't defund the police via policy. We do it via making social stigmas. These are things that people around the world, they don't understand why Americans don't do this kind of stuff. This is why I'm not a liberal. I believe that we have responsibilities and we have power that we're not wielding as a proletariat. One thing that the left and peace movement failed to do is defunding the military on a human level, creating social safety. When the people were still peace advocates, they would still say, God bless the troops and shit. They would still support the military. No, fuck this. We need to get no support for these stormtroopers, no support for the IDF, no support for ICE, no Imperial boomerangs. So let's finish this segment. This segment, to me, is batshit crazy. Like, you guys see how she's so giddy to show off her military puppet son who died fighting for oligarchs who don't know who the fuck he is, who don't give a damn about you. This is sad and pathetic.
Successful operations in eastern Ukraine, and even then, he always found a way to stay in touch with his mother.
We had a thing where we played Wordle every day, but even if he couldn't play, he checked in. So I'd see a check mark and I knew he was okay, right?
On July 29, 2023, Andrew did not check in. Carla soon learned why. A Russian drone had killed her son.
Dumbass. Play stupid ass games, win stupid ass prizes. Yeah, fighting Russia isn't like fighting fucking poor peasants in Afghanistan, asshole. This motherfucker fought poor peasants in Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was like, I'm gonna go fight Russia now, and got his ass blown up. Stupid ass. And you are such a failed parent, you didn't even tell your son, like, hey man, I know you had successful tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, but that's fucking Russia. There's a difference between fighting fucking Russia and fighting and killing poor people. in the Middle East. So I'm sorry I'm not showing this fucking war criminal the kind of empathy that a successful YouTube channel probably should. But this is a definition of a Darwin award as far as I'm concerned.
He was okay, right?
On July 29, 2023, Andrew did not check in. Carla soon learned why. A Russian drone had killed her son.
I just like fell on the ground and I just like started screaming. And I mean, like the neighbors came, okay? It was that bad. And I couldn't make myself stop.
From the
Do you know what war is? Do you think there was no chance of this happening knowing that your son was on the front line? Like, this what happened when you watch Disney for your entire life. When you live God know what kind of background she lives in. I can tell she's privileged. But you just like, oh, my son's committing war crimes. He's a soldier. He's out there fighting wars. You never imagined it was gonna happen. You start screaming when you come on, man.
U.S. Army isn't fighting in Ukraine, but nearly 100 Americans have died there, most as volunteer soldiers. For Carla, Ukraine's future is personal, a message she wants U.S. President Donald Trump to hear as he seeks a deal with Vladimir Putin to end the war.
If you give a man like him an inch, he's going to take a mile. Do you really think he's going to stop with that small piece of territory when he has a whole country he's trying to conquer? I don't think that you appease people like Vladimir Putin.
What a fucking psychopath this person is. This person lost their child in a war, and her response after losing her child in a war, is to advocate for more never-ending war. She wants more people to lose children just like she did. What the fuck? Is that crazy? I love your guys' reaction. Yeah, what the fuck, bro? Like, maybe I'm built different, but if I lost a child in the war and in any reality where that's possible, I would be like, we need to do everything we can to end this war. She's like, no, we need to fight this war forever. Everyone gotta die. My kid died, everyone gotta die. Fuck, we might well have nuclear war. This is the exact moment where I lost all sympathy for her. If you thought I was being too hard on this person before, I think you should lose that train of thought. Because she is taking a tragedy, the death of her child, and she is using that as a way to go on national TV in order to advocate for more war. What a deranged person. Big shout out to the homie Rathbone. Put on bangers every night. We're gonna have Rathbone back on soon. I was a little bit late tonight. I didn't know exactly what time I was gonna stream tonight. That's why I was like, man, I'm gonna go solo tonight. We're gonna have the homie Rathbone back on here soon. I think I missed his comment though. The comments were moving pretty fast. Let's finish this segment up, but I think you guys got the point I'm making. Like, this person is crazy. Sacrificed her son to the war machine, and then after her son died, she goes on TV in order to advocate for more war. What a fucking sicko. Let's wrap this up.
Take a mile. Do you really think he's going to stop with that small piece of territory when he has a whole country he's trying to conquer? I don't think that you appease people like Vladimir Putin.
From Seattle, we traveled to Florida, where President Trump held another round of peace talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. With Carla's message in mind, I asked President Trump, you've said multiple times that you want to stop the killing, and nearly 100 American citizens died in Ukraine on the battlefield. What's your message to their families whose loved ones died fighting for Ukraine?
Well, look, I mean, the message is so obvious. It's what a shame. They died in a foreign country, and some are celebrated people.
That's the only thing that Donald Trump ever said that was 100% on point. Remember when Donald Trump said that soldiers who die fighting for wars are suckers and losers? And the entire liberal class had a complete meltdown. Like, oh my God, don't you know Donald Trump said fallen soldiers are suckers and losers? And then Donald Trump, he had to walk it back. Like, no, I didn't say that. Fam, he 100% say that. That's the most Donald Trump thing I've ever heard in my life. They deny it to this day, but he 100% said that shit. And that was the most on point that Donald Trump ever been. And you can tell at this exact moment that he's kind of thinking the same thing. Like, man, all you motherfuckers died in Ukraine are suckers and losers, bro. And I'm sorry if this sounds harsh, but we need to have that social conversation, man. Stop giving up your life fighting and dying for the Jeffrey Epstein pedophile elite. What's worse, me being blunt about this? What do you guys think is worse, me being blunt about this, or that parent who sent their child off to die? Who's worse? I'd rather us be blunt about this. I'd rather us tell the truth about this and help create a culture where there are less dipshits dying in war than us holding our tongue and this shit continues. Which it has, because the left never had any kind of conversation. They was too afraid. But anyway, let's finish Donald Trump's response. I just thought it was funny because it reminded me of the suckers and loser comment. And this is a great question by this journalist. I'm sure he sucks in many other things. He's a DW journalist, for fuck's sakes. But he asked Donald Trump, he's like, hey man, isn't it kind of crazy how Ukraine is being depopulated? How there's a population collapse in Ukraine? Donald Trump, he's like, hey man, this is why I want peace in Ukraine.
Time that you want to stop the killing, and nearly 100 American citizens died in Ukraine on the battlefield. What's your message to their families whose loved ones died fighting for Ukraine?
Well, look, I mean, the message is so obvious. It's what a shame. They died in a foreign country. And some are celebrated people. They're very celebrated. But so sad that a thing like that would happen.
Andrew said to us, he said, the Ukrainians can win this war. They just have the right stuff. They don't need Americans. They don't need anybody else. They just need the right equipment. And it would be done and over. And I firmly still believe that.
That's why Carla.
So she just advocated for war. You lost your child in this war, and she's like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spend the rest of my life trying to continue and advocate for more suffering and death and more dead children. Insane.
And other mothers of fallen Americans come to Washington, D.C. again and again to remind U.S. lawmakers what their sons and daughters gave in the name of democracy.
She's part of a pro-war caucus. I didn't even catch that part. I think I rage quit at this point. Bro, she's part of a pro-war caucus who goes to Washington, D.C. in order to advocate for more war. Yeah, this motherfucker, she damn near killed her own son. I bet she recruited her son. They're like, hey, you know what would be cool? If you volunteer fighting for Ukraine. I bet she pushed him to do it so she can brag to her neocon wine mom friends. Because, you know, they brag about this kind of shit. They brag, don't you know my son fighting for this war? What a crazy asshole. I didn't even catch that the first time I watched the segment. But let's wrap it there. Look at this. She's part of a pro-war caucus. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's why Carla and other mothers of fallen Americans come to Washington, D.C. again and again to remind U.S. lawmakers what their sons and daughters gave in the name of democracy and freedom.
Bro. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. What a failure of a parent. Yeah, this is the shit. This is a great comment. What a banger. What a banger comment. This is the shit they accuse Palestinian mothers of doing. Yeah. When they're like, don't you know that Palestinian, they are warlike people. Palestinians, they are warlike people. Yeah, no shit, they're under occupation. What you see right there, that's the true military groomers. Palestinians, they have no choice but to fight back. That's why that smear is so disgusting, is that they try to demonize Palestinians' legitimate and heroic internationally recognized right to self-defense versus this person who sent her child tens of thousands of miles away across an entire ass ocean just so she can brag to her wine mom friends about the neoliberal conquest of her child. I didn't know how you guys gonna take this segment, but I hate military culture. I can't stand it. And all these military parents, they're complicit, and they deserve way more heat. The people who support this military family culture deserve way more heat than they actually get. It's one of the weirdest things that have been normalized in our society. The concept of military families. And thank you for your service. Like, bro, United States troops went to Vietnam and committed massacres. During the My Lai massacre, when they murdered over 500 civilians, including women and children, they raped teenage children, prepubescent children, violently beheaded and tortured women and children in Vietnam. And you guys know, like 10 years later, they finally looked into it. Like 10 years after the My Lai massacre happened, and then they charged only one person, the military commander, and he was put on probation for like 3 months. One of the most disgusting modern massacres that was documented. And the consequences for the United States military was one of the leading commanders that was thrown under the bus got 3 months on probation. And then everyone who committed the My Lai massacre, meaning these American soldiers who raped children, people who beheaded people and committed torture of the Vietnamese people, they did came back home in America. And then Americans went to these war criminals and said, thank you for your service. Thank you for your, hey, do you want a discount on your coffee? Do you want a free parking spot? Hey, it's the guy who raped the child. Don't you guys see why this should make me sick? Vietnam is one thing because I guess they were drafted, but it's even worse when you're a volunteer. Even if, like, I don't think being drafted is an excuse to ever pull those massacres off. I'd never give them that excuse. People are like, don't you know they were drafted? All right, no one forced them to fucking rape children. Okay? You can't go after Vietnam veterans. Nigga, no one forced them to burn down villages. Muhammad Ali and many others took prison. And even if you didn't take prison at first, you should have took prison when you got there. And once you got there, and you saw them burning fucking villages down, and you saw them raping children, that's when you're like, oh man, I fucked up. I'm out to take prison time. That's why I don't accept the whole they will draft this shit, to be honest. But I do understand the caveat though. But if you're a volunteer, it's way worse for you, bro. I don't want to hear shit about you. Here's another war criminal who got ratioed and he was attacked for this. This is another person who is deranged. Like if you read their tweets, military culture creates a violent genocidal derangement out of everyone who's involved. So Donald Trump was critical of Denmark and NATO, and he explained how NATO would never come to our defense. Trump's talking shit, and the obvious counter to that is the fact that NATO Article 5 was activated when we decided to wage our war on terror. And whenever liberals bring up that counterpoint, it's always hilarious to me. They're like, hey, don't you know that Denmark has always been a loyal American ally? Don't you know they helped us destroy the Middle East? Okay. Kind of making my point about social democrats. They're like, don't you know that we helped torture people in Iraq for you? Now you guys see why I don't fucking like Denmark? You guys see why I don't like the social democrat countries? Who Bernie Sanders, who hate Viktor Orban, he loves some Denmark. He loves some war criminal Denmark. We covered how Denmark was complicit in the war crime. And this is someone who bragging about it. They're like, he said, fuck this war criminal. Fuck you, Trump. Greetings from a Danish infantry group that helped the United States in their war in Iraq in 2003 without having legal UN mandate. Personally, I am currently ill and out of the labor market due to PTSD. What a fucking bum. What a bum piece of shit war criminal. So this guy brags about being a war criminal and violating the UN mandate on behalf of the United States. And then after committing war crimes and destroying the Middle East, he then becomes a bum-ass leech on his society because he's out of the labor market. So what do? Were you taking some sort of veterans program, some veterans income program? You gotta see what these fucking war criminal leeches do. These enemies of the working class. You got to, he's not productive. He's not doing anything productive for the society. He's not a member of the working class. He sold out the working class in order to join the militia of the capitalist class. And then once he comes back, he don't even join the working class anymore. He leeches off the taxpayer. This motherfucker is a leech. He's like, oh, I got PTSD. Oh. Fuck you and your PTSD. I'll tell you guys right now, I don't buy it. Fuck that shit. You know, in Hollywood, they're going to have these movies in like 10 to 15 years. I bet you they're working on it right now. They're going to be like, we're going to have this brave story of this United States soldier who served in Gaza, who was struggling through PTSD. Fuck you. Fuck you. That's another thing that people... These war criminals, they commit these massive crimes. Like, and we had Abu Ghraib, where Iraqis were kidnapped and tortured to death. You had villages that was burned. You had Iraqis that was raped. Like, you had all these war crimes that they committed. Remember, over 2 million Iraqis died over the course of the occupation. It's a crime against humanity. They still sweep under the carpet to this day. That's why when people in the West, whenever they talk about evil leaders, they always talk about Hitler's. I'm like, yeah, Hitler was pretty bad, man. But don't you go? You know how many Hitlers we had since then? You know how many massacres the ruling class in the West committed since Hitler? And you know, it's the West. They always bring up Hitler. They always bring up it. Nigga, we have Henry Kissinger that's responsible for millions slaughtered in Cambodia. Well, we did millions murdered in Korea. And that's why I hate people who invoke Godwin's law. I don't know if you guys know what Godwin's law is. That's people who, the only historical event that they know of, the only history that they know of is World War II. They always invoke World War II. And the reason why a lot of people in the West do that, because if you talk about any modern ass shit, it's the United States and the West that is leading the charge. And people in Denmark and Danish patriots like this guy brags about it. Look at this war criminal. Look, of course, look at this Ukraine flag. This is the face of NATO. These are the people that the NATO left support. Look, this person might as well have a Klan hood on, as far as I'm concerned. This person is deeply disturbed and deranged. This man just casually admitting to war crimes. And fam, I don't know about how much time I have, but if you listen to a lot of his responses, I wonder if I can find some. This guy is like unapologetic about like what he did. This great reply, I don't know if you guys can see this. This man said, how many innocent Afghans have you killed? And he was like, no, it was actually in Iraq. And he put the gun emoji next to an exploding head emoji. This person, once again, might as well have a clan hood on. This is the person. This person is essentially the same kind of person that they fear-mongered when they talk about like radical Islamic terrorism. You know how ISIS is like part of Israel and the Mossad, trained by the CIA. You know how they say that there's these crazy radical terrorists that we need to destroy the sovereignty of other countries in order to fight against? And then in the head of many Americans, they think about some Arab guy, some Muslim. And I say this because this is what represented in pop culture. Like, you guys remember South Park? They have like these Arab terrorist characters from the 2000s. I was around during the War on Terror, anti-Arab propaganda. Like, you guys know how they always think of the Arab Muslim terrorist guy. No, that's Harley. The terrorist that you guys think is Hamas, that's this guy. This bloodthirsty motherfucker. And bro, if you find, I don't have a ton of time to obsess over this guy, but if you look at all his responses, he essentially doubled down. Like, yeah, this is what I committed all these war crimes. Fuck you. I don't give a shit, man. This is what we do. This is what we do. We're fucking gangsters. We commit mass murder. These are people who serve the truth. These are people who uniquely deranged, right? I appreciate the super sticker. Let's see if I can get some. Yeah, I remember it, man. I was super in South Park back in the day. South Park was super anti-Arab in the 2000s. And when you grow up and when you mature, you realize that the Eric Cartman character was created by because the show creators, they were hardcore Zionists themselves. So they created this character, Eric Cartman, in order to legitimize the anti-Semitism hoax. Because you guys know how Zionists want to paint the idea that they're just anti-Semitic Americans. That was Eric Cartman before. Eric Cartman was there to be the super anti-Semitic character to give the idea that there are a lot of these people who just hate Jewish people for no reason. Once I started realizing that shit, that's when I started looking at Hollywood completely differently. Like, they do shit like that just to legitimize Zionist censorship. They having a character like Eric Cartman and then pointing to Eric Cartman for a reason why anti-Semitism is so high. Appreciate you guys. Let me see if I can find some more comments. Yeah, we are against genocide. The South Park guys, I didn't watch the recent seasons because that shit is cringe to me. That shit is the Trump derangement syndrome, lazy ass trash comedy. It's a shame that it fell off so hard. But South Park in one of the new seasons, they was legitimizing the anti-Semitism hoax. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but remember the little story arc they did with Eric Cartman, where he was like, man, I was supposed to be the one who hate the Jews. No, I'm not even special no more. Everyone hate the Jews. Now I'm like an ordinary person now. And when I saw this arc, I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. It's obvious to me that what it was doing. That was them using comedy to legitimize the rise of anti-Semitism in the United States and legitimizing the Zionist talking points used to censor Americans. I don't know if many people caught that. I tweeted about it when I saw it. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. I stopped watching it. I was like, bro, I'm not watching this shit after that. And after you see that, they do nothing but go after Trump. And then they had the one episode they did where they criticized the genocide in Gaza. They did it through the lens of Jewish feelings. They had Kyle's mom yell at Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, all the liberals and the progressive Democrats, they loved it. But to me, it was obvious what they was doing. Because Kyle's mom was yelling at Benjamin Netanyahu, and she was like, don't you know this is making the Jewish community look bad? That's not why the genocide in Gaza is bad, guys. If you don't, the reason why the genocide in Gaza is bad is because it's bad to murder Palestinians. The murder of Palestinians will be a stain on humanity that won't be washed up for generations. But you know, when South Park covered it, they covered it as if, oh man, I'm mad at you, Netanyahu, because you're making Jewish people look bad. So even their criticism of Gaza was layered and shit-lived. Like, you guys see how I super overanalyze shit, I guess. That's why I don't watch South Park no more, because I notice these things. Then now they do all these super Trump derangement syndrome episodes, which I've seen some clips of them roasting Trump, which is funny. Now, I'm not going to deny that there was some funny clips of them roasting Trump, but I still roll my eyes because at no point did the cowards at South Park ever go after Kamala Harris for sounding like a drunk asshole every time she was out in public. Even Jon Stewart did that. Like, even Jon Stewart was able to cross that line and make fun of Kamala Harris's, like, completely deranged speeches. Man, we used to make fun of her all the time, or when she sound drunk, saying a bunch of bullshit that made no sense. So you tell me, South Park, you couldn't do any sketches of Kamala Harris sounding drunk? It's not like Democrats are not giving you content to make fun of. They can choose not to make fun of Democrats. But instead, they go after Trump all the time, which I have no problem with. But it's the lack of consistency which makes me roll my fucking eyes. And that's why I don't really fuck with Hollywood. Like, I can't fuck with Hollywood. I said it many times before. Reality is way more interesting than fiction, man. All right, let's cover a few more things about Europe. Hold on, 1 second. Give me 1 second. Actually, I do want. We're actually gonna be on here a little bit longer today. We're gonna be on here. I still got 2 more segments I want to do. Fuck, it's getting late. All right, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I got 2 more segments I want to do. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm definitely, my nose again stuffed up. I don't know if you guys definitely can tell. Probably because I was ranting and raving. What's poppin', Zoya? I need you to fill in for me for a second while I take these breaks. I don't mind doing long streams, but sometimes I'm like, man, I need to stretch my limbs out. I'm an old man. I need to take a restroom break, give me some tea. If I could have an intermission, I probably can do longer streams more often. I'm not like these young kids, these Gen Z kids, bro. These rap bones. these Jackson Hinkles, these young Gen Z kids, they be streaming for hours. I'm like, man, I'm not a spring chicken like I used to be, man. I was playing, so no pressure. Zoe already helps me out a lot. One day, if I'm planning on doing like a long 3-hour stream, I might ask you for help. But it's not something we have to do every day. Like, if I could do 3-hour streams if I had Zoya like do an intermission. You know how I love Steph from the Jamie Dore show, Jimmy's wife. Steph is amazing. I love Steph. She's such a kind person behind the scene when you talk to her. But you guys know how like Steph takes over a show for a little bit, read super chats. I need someone to do that for me. You know what I mean? You ain't old. I'm about to be 34. I'll be 34 this year. I'm old as fuck. Yeah, they be still, yeah, bro. Them Gen Z kids are crazy, bro. They live on stream. It's a different thing. All right, let's roast Kaja Kallis some more. So Kaja Kallis, this is the EU's top chief diplomat. So I have pants older than you. Oh man. Yeah, we just getting started, bro. We just getting started. We just getting started. Um Kaja essentially endorses, and this shouldn't be a surprise of anyone. She endorses the IDF Israeli doctrine for civilian culpability. You guys know how people in Israel claims that there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian. You guys know how that's their rationale to justify the use of collective punishment. Yeah, bro. You know Kaja Kallas is our favorite diplomat to make fun of. Her and Ursula von der Leyen, unelected dictators, and the United States and Russia, they don't even take them seriously. Like people in Russia, like we're not even gonna talk to Kaja Kallas, bro. We're just gonna wait until she eventually get replaced. She's not a serious person. Like she's the height of nepotism. Look, this is a headline. Moscow rules out talks on Ukraine with Ukraine incompetent EU officials. I was looking for another headline, but this is kind of summing up what I want to show you guys. Kaja Kallas is so serious that people in Russia like, bro, we don't get her out of our face. We're not even talking to you. Give us fucking Steve Witkoff. Give us someone from the Trump administration. Like Moscow on Sunday ruled out talks with EU foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas on ending the war in Ukraine, terming her and her bloc's leadership as incompetent. Kaja Kallas is the person who didn't know that China and Russia played a large part in winning World War II. The Chinese who were fighting Japan on a 10-year front, and we know our Soviet Union brothers and sisters murdered 80% of Nazi soldiers who fallen in World War II. But she didn't know that. She thought it was strange that Russia and China would celebrate World War II. She's a person who, despite being a diplomat, the chief diplomat for Europe, she bragged about how she wants to see Russia cut up and divided into 15 different client states. But she's one of the most anti-Russian, deranged politicians that's propped up by the neocons and the Zionists in the West. Someone who's completely unelected. And now this is her statement that is a chilling statement that highlights the mentality of the ruling class. Where she states that there's civilian culpability in societies. So the Venezuelans are responsible for electing Nicolas Maduro. This is the argument that Osama bin Laden used. Like Osama bin Laden, I actually got to be very careful because there was a lot of lies told about that guy. I got to be very careful here. But I know Osama bin Laden and a few other people, they had the idea of civilian culpability of all Americans are responsible for the crimes of America. I like to say that's more of an Israeli thing more than Osama bin Laden. Because to me, I think like Osama bin Laden and all these people, they just took what the Israelis did. They're like, bro, look at how the Israelis and the Americans are waging war. So this is a Western Zionist culture and mentality that there need to be mass slaughter and there need to be mass punishment for entire civilian populations. Let me read it. This is what I'm referencing here. Are citizens responsible for injustices perpetrated by their nation's government? In a recent statement defending her policy of denying asylum to Russians fleeing Vladimir Putin's military draft, Kaja Kallas says the answer is yes. Listen to what she said. This is batshit crazy. Every citizen is responsible for the actions of their state, and citizens of Russia are no exception. Therefore, we do not give asylum to Russian men who flee their country. They should oppose the war. And then, without any hesitation, this person will then turn around and say that Hamas are terrorists for legitimately engaging in their internationally right to armed defense against or armed resistance against the genocidal Israeli state. So Hamas, who has legitimate claims to self-defense, they're a terrorist. Meanwhile, here's Kaja Kallas saying that, hey man, every single Russian is cold bull. There's no such thing as an innocent Russian endorsing Israeli talking points. It's deeply problematic for them to hold. And these EU leaders, like Ursula von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas, who they were just bitching and complaining about the threats on Denmark, but they endorse Israel seizing the West Bank. They're silent after the genocide in Gaza. And the people are not letting them forget it either. Here's Nazi EU diplomat Ursula von der Leyen, who was hit with protests and called out for a genocide in Gaza.
Thank you very much, Ms.
This is a citizen's arrest. You are charged with aiding genocide in Gaza. You expressed total support for Israel at the beginning of this genocide. The blood of Palestinian children is on your hands. You are a criminal, Mr. Boomerang. You should be in the Hague. You should not be here. You should not be running for a second term. You are a war. You are a criminal. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! That is that. Free Palestine!
Look at this psychopath. Like, that's their natural instinct every single time. Every single time they're called out for their war crimes and their genocide. Their natural tendency is to have this condescending smirk. They're proud of the crimes that they got away with. They take pleasure in knowing that there's nothing in a civil society that can be done about these batshit crazy neocon criminals. These are the girl bosses that neoliberal feminism props up and promotes. The people who delegitimize the lives of Palestinians while pretending to care about the territorial legitimacy of Nazis in Ukraine. And it's ironic because she accused Iran of being a dictatorship. She accused Maduro of being a dictator. Meanwhile, she is a completely unelected tyrant and dictator. You even had, and I'm like, bro, this right here is glorious. I don't know if y'all seen this headline. This headline right here. I've been bathing in this drama. Let me see if I find my screenshot. I think my screenshot looks better. Hold up. Let me find my screenshot because their website is formatted really weird. But Kaja Kallas calls out Ursula von der Leyen. Look at this. The EU Nazi girls are fighting. Kaja Kallas privately complains that Ursula von der Leyen is a dictator. Remember, Ursula von der Leyen is the person that said that Talmud values are European values. Pro-genocide Talmudic values are the genocide of European values. They're the EU Nazi cat girls are fighting, and this is absolutely glorious. I'm gonna see if I can show this one over here. Here's a little bit of the article, and I hope that this spirals out of control, and I hope that this becomes a thing. They said relations between the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the current head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas, are even worse than they were with her predecessor, Joseph Borrell. This is being reported by Politico. According to the publication, von der Leyen's relations with former EU policy chief Joseph Borrell were very bad. And Joseph Borrell is a guy we reported on a lot He was the guy who called out NATO and the EU for their batshit crazy policy on Russia, and he's the EU source you would see people quote all the time whenever there was some guy who said that Israel is guilty of committing war crimes, and how the EU is complicit with covering up Zionism. Like, he was someone who was very critical of European foreign policy, and obviously von der Leyen was not a big fan of that. But apparently, like, to me, that's very predictable, because I will report on stuff that Joseph Borrell said, and I'm like, bro, how is he saying that? How is he getting away with this stuff? I would be surprised. Like, man, he's the only guy. Like, every time you see an EU person speaking truth about United States foreign policy, it will always be this guy. So to me, it makes sense that he has a bad relationship with von der Leyen, but I don't understand why there's tension between Kaja Kallas and von der Leyen. And they said the situation between Kaja Kallas and von der Leyen is even worse than it was with Joseph Borrell, that's crazy. Like, what is that? It's not even anything based on policy. It can't be, because they are in lockstep with each other on denying genocide in Gaza, supporting Nazis in Ukraine, being uncritical of United States foreign policy. So she's mad because she tried to appoint some people in her inner circle, but it was blocked by Ursula von der Leyen. So Ursula von der Leyen is like, hey, man, don't you know I run this shit? Don't you know that I'm Vince McMahon here? I like what Zoya said. It's kayfabe. And I can see that. Like when Elon and Trump fight. I think this highlights how messy and incompetent these European leaders are. These people who do nothing but advocate for endless war, and now they're even fighting with each other. Here's another clip I want to show you guys. And it shows us they're snakes even to each other. Like, these European politicians, these people who side with the United States, they're the worst among their population, and they can't help but to lie the way that they breathe. Like, this is at Davos, and there's so many clips of these psychopath Europeans, and it just shows the way that they lie. This is the Finnish president calling a lie immediately about how Europe is completely dependent on the United States for their security needs.
First is a direct answer to the question of this panel: can Europe defend itself? My answer is unequivocally yes.
Without the Americans.
Without the Americans, I mean,
how?
Well, look.
But you're relying on them for these key elements. You've said earlier that Europe can defend itself without the Americans. If it comes down...
not exact, Mike, so that's not a quote.
More or less, more or less. We'll go back to the transcript. More or less, more or less.
I love journalists.
But if it comes,
imagine being that much of a psychopath that you're able to lie that easily, even when it's that easily disprovable. And these journalists be getting gaslit by these people. She's like, bro, I swear to God, he just said that shit, bro. You can tell she was irritated. Like, man, I swear you just said that shit. I'm gonna go look back at the transcript. That's the most polite thing she could have said in that moment. Let's go look at the transcript. This nigga's lying like a motherfucker. These are these European leaders in a nutshell. Here's NATO chief Mark Rutte, the son of Donald Trump. He's the guy who called Donald Trump daddy. And it's hilarious how Donald Trump will not let him live that down. Like, He keeps saying, like, don't you know that they call me daddy? Don't you know they call me daddy in NATO? That's a blunder that Mark Rutte should never, ever forget about. You know what I mean? When his whole thing has been essentially to suck up to Donald Trump, get power because he see how MAGA achieve political power. So he's the Donald Trump the daddy guy. And he's doing his job, licking Donald Trump's boot. So in time where European leaders are floating the idea of not being leeches, which is another reason why I oppose NATO, because these European leaders openly admit that, hey man, we couldn't defend ourselves if it wasn't for United States taxpayer money. Meanwhile, they got social safety nets, they got public health care, because there are leeches on the American working class. Defend yourself, motherfucker. Fuck the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. If you want to worry about your defense, how about you make peace with Russia and China? How about you drop your imperialist mindset and engage in diplomacy, asshole, instead of relying on the blood and the sweat of the American working class? As the American people, we don't have health care. The European assholes, they have health care, and then they brag about how the United States is responsible for their defense. Fuck you. And then people pretend that my position is not the patriotic position. If you're supportive of NATO, you're betraying the American working class. And here NATO chief Mark Rutte admitting that. He's admitting the fact that they're playing the American people. And for some reason, the left, well, I should say the NATO left, the professional managerial class left, they support these neocon scum who implement austerity on the American people. Listen to this.
So when President Trump is doing good stuff, I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. And why do we need each other? I tell you. First of all, because also the US needs NATO. And the US is not only in NATO to prevent the mistake after the First World War, not to re-engage with Europe. And then again, the long arm of history reaching out to the US again in the Second World War, as Churchill famously said in his speech in 1941 in the US Congress. They are also in NATO because for the US to stay safe, and by the way, Arctic region is evidence here, they need a secure Arctic, they need a secure Euro-Atlantic, and they also need a secure Europe. So the US has every interest in NATO as much as Canada and the European NATO allies. If you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are pleading for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. So, hey, good luck.
He said how he explains how they benefit from the U.S. nuclear umbrella, and how if it wasn't for the United States, they will be forced to spend more on their military budget. And because we subsidize their defense, they're able to provide health care to their people while we're not. That's why we have millions homeless in our country. We have people who don't have medical care. We have a working class that's struggling because we're providing defense for NATO. And then you guys see how he was like, do you know the United States benefit from NATO? Bullshit. Whenever someone tells you that, look at them in the face and tell them that they are full of shit. He was full of shit saying, do you know the United States benefit from NATO? Bullshit. How does NATO make us safe? Is NATO stopping us from being shot by members of ICE? Or is NATO stopping us from being shot by our violent police forces? No. Is it stopping Americans that are freezing to death? I just read an article now talking about the dozens of Americans who froze to death over the course of the winter storm. Are Americans being protected from that? Are they getting home from? Nope. NATO does not benefit the American people at all. And any person who tried to make the argument will look like a fool. We have two things called oceans. We have two large oceans that serve as the best possible natural defense for our countries, a multitude of alliances, and a nuclear arsenal that make it so no country will ever attack the United States unless they are out of their goddamn mind. So NATO inherently benefits only the Europeans because as Americans, we have the ability to defend ourselves in our homeland. And when you look at NATO, the United States dominate NATO spending. And this goes directly to the military-industrial complex. It's going to Palantir now. And it's part of the uniparty that you can't vote your way out of. When AOC run for president, she's going to run for president as someone who's extremely pro-NATO. Because Democrats, they overwhelmingly voted for a bill that puts for a $1 trillion military budget. Look, this is the majority of Democrats. Oh, 2-to-1 ratio. A Democrats voting to expand the military budget. And Stephen brings up a great point. Great reporting by Stephen here. Only 4% of Democratic voters, when imposed, say they want to increase the military budget. But 70% of House Democrats voted to increase the military spending, despite what Democratic voters say. This is why I'm tired of progressives talking about, we need to shift the Overton window. We need to raise awareness. Fuck you. The people are already on our side. We live under capitalist dictatorship, and it's time to take back our power. The people are already on our side. The American people want to decrease the military budget, but the ruling class, because we live in a dictatorship, they will never listen to the will of the people. This is why the United States is inherently undemocratic. This is why a capitalist system cannot be a democratic system, a system ruled by capital and money. But man, we almost at the 2-hour mark. I wasn't live on Friday, so sometimes we gotta make up for it for a longer stream. You guys know I'm always in the lab because I got receipts for days. And the funny thing is I got like 2 segments I don't have time to do. I have an AOC segment, but who gives a fuck about her, to be honest. AOC endorsed a an AIPAC Democrat. I don't think I have time to cover that, but AOC 2028 is gonna be fucking hilarious to cover, man. You gotta realize that I'm going to do everything I fucking can to destroy AOC 2028. AOC 2028 is dead on arrival. And she already making moves that make it clear that she's angling to be a leader, whether she's going to be president. I think she's going to run for president. I think she's going to lose, endorse Gavin Newsom, and probably run for governor or probably run for Senate for Chuck Schumer's seat when he retires. Like, she's going to run for president. And it's not about her winning. It's going to be about her getting the Ryan Grimm left to become reinvested in the Democratic Party. And then after they get reinvested in the Democratic Party, AOC and the squad is going to tell them to vote for Gavin Newsom. And their goal is to get as many of them as possible over to the Democratic Party. And trust me, people like Ryan Grimm, Crystal Ball, Kyle Kalinske, they're going to be there every step of the way to help rehabilitate the Democratic Party. And I'm going to be there to stop them. I'm not going to let it fucking happen, fam. Like, it's the reason why I'm blacklisted for corporate media. I see what they're planning literally years before they even start the plan. And so Ryan Grimm wrote a fucking book about the squad, bro. He wrote a book about how amazing AOC and her movement is right before she runs for president. Still running defense for these people. The Zohran Mamdani left is gaining a lot of momentum, and Zohran Mamdani will be used to endorse all these political campaigns on behalf of the Democratic Party. They're going to get centrists elected. This is I'm gonna get back to this, but this is what I'm referencing. This is the person I might as well show it now since I'm talking about the story. Look, I'm honored to have AOC's endorsement in my re-election campaign for Texas 33. I plan to keep holding ICE accountable, expanding health care, access to family, and lowering costs for families. So what is she missing here? So she hid a reply from Track AIPAC because she's an AIPAC whore. She's a pro-Zionist sellout scumbag candidate. So you have AOC and the progressive left that is openly endorsing pro-APAC Zionist candidates now. So here's AOC's. I want to show you guys this first, but here's AOC's endorsement video. And this is gonna be their grand plan to get people back in the Democratic Party. And I'm gonna do everything I'm gonna do everything I can to fight it. But fam, we got limited influence. I'm telling you guys right now, I already see it working. Like I told you guys, Trump will be here to rehabilitate the Democratic Party, and he's doing a great job. Like you need a Republican to scare the shit out. People go back to the Democratic Party the same way they needed Joe Biden. Hey, bro, Joe Biden, you got one hell of a task ahead of you. We need to get people back to the Republican Party. You think you can do it? He's like, bro, I got you. I'm going to do the genocide in Gaza. I'm going to spend ICE budgets to record levels. We're going to start building cop cities all over the country. We're going to expand anti-homeless infrastructure. We're going to expand the homeless population. Bro, the working class was struggling under Joe Biden. And then he's like, we're gonna pull out a genocide to help Donald Trump. So then Donald Trump took charge, saw that Democrats was in trouble. He's like, bro, I got you. Now Donald Trump is successfully rehabilitating the Democratic Party, and now you're gonna have people like AOC and Zohran Mamdani, who's gonna go around endorsing Zionists the same way that Zohran Mamdani hired Jessica Tisch. Now you got AOC and them. They're all going to come out and support a moderate Zionist Democrat. And then boom, the rehabilitation of the Democratic Party is done.
Julie at her run, and I hope you will too. Early voting starts on February 17th, and Election Day is March 3rd. See you at the polls. Hey everyone, Congresswoman AOC here. I'm here to let you know that we can't let the GOP gerrymander one of our strongest fighters out of Congress. As we speak, Julie Johnson is standing up every day in Congress to combat ICE overreach, MAGA extremism, and to stand up for the freedoms of Texans everywhere. She is fighting to defend your healthcare, make life more affordable, and tackle corruption in Washington.
So you guys see, this is why AOC is not the best among them. She is here to lend credibility, not only to openly sell out and vote for Iron Domes and Israeli weapons and support a genocidal policy, a party. She is here to legitimately support and uplift the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party. The same neoliberal wing that, despite saying that Donald Trump is a crazy authoritarian, they say that Donald Trump is a Nazi fascist that is destroying the Constitution. Despite that, 70% of the party vote to expand his power. Remember, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, is the commander-in-chief of the United States military. He lobbies Congress to pass domestic bills, but many Americans don't understand he don't have power on domestic politics. The United States president have no power over domestic politics. He can just influence, and many people in Congress support Trump's agenda. That's why he gets bills passed, but that's not where the power lies. Trump get bills passed because the people in Congress support his agenda. But at the end of the day, the power that Donald Trump and the executive branch has, which is true for every single president, comes from their ability to wield funds for the military as commander-in-chief. So despite this, Democrats voted to expand ICE budgets, DHS budgets, and increase executive power every single year when Donald Trump is president. This is why you don't buy the bullshit whenever you hear them say that Donald Trump is a unique threat, that Democrats is a counter to Donald Trump and MAGA politics. No, they're complicit, and they're here to enable MAGA politics every single step of the way. But I just decided to drop a 2-hour rant stream for no reason. I think I can wrap it up here. Ali Vargas, we had to reschedule that to Friday. He's an elusive guest. But Ali will be joining us back on Friday. You already know the homie Rathbone. He's going to be back on the channel here very soon. Make sure you guys check out the show I did with Rome. Nick and Rome is a program I'm trying to bring back again. Rome, he been in the live cooking. Rome been in the live cooking for real. Rome been going viral on X. He been putting out bigger posts. He been doing these great spaces. He's been live recently again. I'm so proud of Rome. I love Rome and the direction of our RBN team. Savvy killing it, JB killing it. Appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Help me. Oh yeah, Jody Bar definitely. I love Jody. Jody's amazing. I'm gonna try to get Seraph and DDG back on again. Nico House. There's a lot of guests I got like loaded up. There are a ton of guests I got just waiting in the back. So things gonna get very interesting with the channel. I appreciate you guys for supporting my work. Even like a $3 pledge on Patreon a month would be a great way to support my citizen journalism. I'll be back in the lab tomorrow morning because you guys know I'm still working on hotspot. I do my hotspot videos. I go live. You know, we're always in the lab cooking. So that's what we'll be working on tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Hope you guys enjoy my hotspots. Make sure you guys support us on hotspot as well. I need some support on Patreon because YouTube put in that strike on my channel. That hurt. So any support on Patreon would definitely be appreciated. And please share the stream and help us beat the algorithm. Thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the stream. Take care, my friends. Have a good one.